I think the first step would be to understand the salary slip.
Okay.
Because I think I have met people who are after 2-3 years job also, they don't know what is the take home. I think death and taxes are inevitable. To inculcate the joy of giving, right? I think that actually starts at a very young age.
Even if it is a small person.
Yeah, so I think you will, over a period of time, you will become a much evolved human being. How much ever you have, there is always a shortfall. That is lifestyle inflation. At the end of the day, your lifestyle will inflate so that your salary looks small. See, any financial decision, according to me, has two components. One is the emotional component. The other one is the economic component. More often than not, you override economics with emotions. Becoming wealthy is not about how much you earn.
Oh, okay.
It's all about how you manage your money.
Welcome to the Life Grid conversation. Money, money, money. We all want loads of money. Investment becomes a very cryptic word, and today our guest, Kishor Kumar Balpalli, he is a SEBI-Registered Investment Advisor. He's been an advisory to a lot of NRIs, CXOs, HNIs, and today we are very happy to learn from him some investment basic knowledge and apply it in life and make some more money. Welcome, Kishore. Thank you so much for being on this show and for our community to teach us the basics.
Yeah. Thank you, Krithika. I think it's great to be here.
Thank you. First question, what do you mean by SEBI-Registered Investment Advisor?
Okay, so in India, of course, SEBI is the governing authority in terms of capital markets, and SEBI mandates that whoever is actually advising with respect to investments, they should be registered with SEBI as an investment advisor.
Because today in the Instagram world and the YouTube world,
Yeah,
we have everyone today advisors.
correct.
There are a lot of influencers who tell today, this will go high, buy this stock or buy this metal, commodity market. And they say, make your portfolio this. So aren't they advisors or
Yeah, you can call them influencers basically.
finfluencers? Okay, okay.
So, of course, I think they are also doing a good job by educating people, I would say.
Oh.
Yes, sir. But I think they're restricted to education. And they're not supposed to, advise, basically.
What to buy and what not to buy.
What to buy and what not to buy. They're not supposed to do that, basically. They're only supposed to, educate people.
Okay. So this SEBI is a governing body and gives you the training and then makes you a registered professional, is it?
No, actually, say there is a prerequisite for you to be an advisor. So there are some, say, qualification requirements, certification requirements, and of course, say earlier there were net worth requirements, but that is now being relaxed now.
Wow. So an advisor was supposed to be having a network. This is a very natural question. Oh, you are an advisor. How much do you have? So is that the reason why they had the net?
I think that was probably for a different reason. They wanted to restrict, or they wanted only serious people to come into business. And because actually we be advising on others' money, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, as advisors, we are not handling their money, basically, our clients' money. We're not taking, into us, and we are not actually, it is not coming to our account at the end of the day. So that was not really required, is what SEBI thought, and they have relaxed that actually as of.
Oh, interesting, interesting. The first segment, our conversation, we split it into four segments of conversation. So the first segment is dedicated to the first time earners, the young people who are just out of college, they have 1 year experience, 2 year experience, and they start seeing money. So let's start with that segment. For them, what is important? Because now from 30,000 per month to 2 to 3 lakh is what just from out of college they have started seeing money. How should they start seeing investment? Your advices.
I think the first step would be to understand the salary slip.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think I have met people who are after the 2-3 years job also, they don't know what is the take home.
Yeah. Basically, how much money comes into my bank, I'm okay. But that is too technical, basically. And
Yes. So what happens is, say, there are some aspects, say, you have your basic, your DA, HRA, etc. I mean, that is one part of it. And the other part of it is the deductibles. Basically, it could be your tax, TDS basically, or it could be, I mean, the PPF, ODA, and also any other, like what you call, if you have opted for NPS. So those are the like items that will be there under the deductibles. So it is important to understand the salary slip so that you know what is going to be the take home.
See,
So I
fresh
think,
out of job,
yeah.
sorry, fresh out of college, I don't understand DA. I don't understand even basic. I don't understand what is this PPF. And I didn't know that whatever I earn, tax will take it away. So can you simplify this for them? What should they, first month salary or even the offer letter, what should they even see and know that what will be their take home? Actually, what are they making?
See, I think the cost to the company includes your PPF also, because like, or EPF rather, and because that is anyhow it's coming to your account at the end of the day. Basically, that is forced savings for you. What you have to understand is that, I mean, there is that money which is meant for your retirement. Typically your provident funds are meant for retirement basically. So it is forced upon you so that you are able to like start saving for retirement basically.
Okay.
So from your first salary itself, you are actually saving for your retirement.
Retirement.
Yeah.
It starts so
Yeah,
early.
but you are not aware. Maybe you will not be aware at that point in time. What is this? You will be like cribbing. Okay, so what my salary got cut?
Yes.
So, but again, let's say if you look at I mean, probably with some insights, basically, I think that is your retirement benefit. It could be there, and if you opted for NPS, that is also a retirement benefit. So that is one part of it. And deductibles, if you're like say coming under the bracket where there is a tax, basically, if, as you know, I think death and taxes are inevitable, basically. So, so
You equated death and tax.
it's not my code. Some I don't remember the.
Okay, but true, we can't
Yeah.
evade that.
Yeah, so that is something that we should be aware, appreciate the fact. Okay, so that you cannot avoid until you're in.
Even crib, but cannot avoid.
Yeah, yeah. So that I think as soon as you come to the terms that you cannot avoid certain things, basically, that is not under your control.
Okay. Okay.
So I think it is better to work on things that are under our control basis. Yes, taxes is not something that you can plan efficiently. Of course, you can make every financial decision a tax-aware decision, basically.
Tax-aware decisions.
Yeah,
Okay.
that you can make.
Okay.
But I think you cannot avoid.
Because generally people hate to pay tax. Though they know they'll say how to tax. I buy a car because I want to avoid tax. There are many times these words being thrown. We'll definitely come there. Yeah. So one is to understand the tax is a must.
Yeah.
And work around it.
Yeah, work, I mean, around it, basically not avoid it. Make it, I mean, optimal.
Okay.
You should make tax optimal decision rather than avoiding tax because you'll be on the wrong side of the law.
Yes, yes. Okay. So basic understanding of the DA and all these salary step is otherwise are also they can freely openly discuss with their employers or their
Nowadays I think most of the companies have like dedicated sessions also. They do have like say what you call service providers who are actually helping them to be financially literate as well. We also like say many companies considered financial well-being as an integral part of employee well-being.
Yes, yes.
So I think that is also helping a lot. But having said that, I think in today's schools and colleges, I think financial literacy is not something that is taught.
That is not.
But I think that is a pity. I think over a period of time that will also be integrated. But I think nowadays there are so many like channels like yours also like who are propagating I think life skills. I think this is a life skill is what I keep telling. I think that
It's one of your posts in LinkedIn. I read where you said the investment or financial literacy for young people is not starting at the first salary. It starts with their, the pocket money, where you said divide into 3. That was beautiful. Can you please share that?
yeah, I actually forgot. I'm not sure where. I mean, I don't remember actually what I said. If you can remember.
No, you said where you spend, where you save, and where you give. You made that beautifully divide your salary into. But that's a great advice, I felt, because if you're bringing home 50K, that is your take home, and that's what is getting into your bank, then how do you divide? To give is a beautiful thing. It's always nice to give. That's part of it. But at the same time, you also mentioned it's good to spend. That's why at the end of the day, you're earning. So this 3 buckets, I found it very interesting.
Yeah.
But I was very curious, why give at this early age?
Yeah, because I think to inculcate the joy of giving, right? I think that actually starts at a very young age.
Even if it is a small person.
Yeah, so I think you will, I mean, over a period of time, you will become a much evolved human being.
That is true. That is
Yes.
true. So another practical challenge with a young earners, whether it is 30K to 3 lakh, whatever they're earning in their first few years, everyone invariably at the end of the month, they still struggle. So where are they going wrong, and what is your words for them?
I think, see, in the 17th century, there was this French philosopher
Okay.
named Denis uh, D. Diderot.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So he was quite a famous writer and a philosopher. So he was gifted one scarlet robe,
Okay. Okay.
okay, that you wear over a dress, basically.
Okay.
So he was looking at the mirror and he was very happy. It was very elegant. It was looking very luxurious and aristocratic. Okay, and when he looked at the rest of his, belongings, the curtains, the carpets. Okay, everything was shabby in front of that.
Ah, it looked pale.
It looked pale. I mean, there's no comparison. Okay, so he started changing one by one.
Oh, oh.
Okay, so because it has to be consistent
Match
to match that.
scarlet robe.
Yeah,
Okay.
to match the scarlet robe, he actually changed the curtains, changed the
Carpet
carpets, okay, everything. Table, chair, house.
to match the robe.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time the last thing was done, he was bankrupt. So basically, that is the snowball effect, basically, where your lifestyle inflation happens. Because earlier you were not having any money, right? Now you're making money, basically.
Correct.
So everything one links to the other, basically. Suppose if you are actually bought a good car or a house, like say if you remember that good old ad of ours, like say Naya Gar, Naya Gadi, Naya Bivi.
Hopefully not.
So that kind of say what you call everything Naya Naya will come. So that then you will whatever how much ever you have, there is always a shortfall. That is lifestyle inflation. At the end of the day, your lifestyle will inflate so that your salary looks small.
Yes, for everyone the salary looks small.
Yeah.
The 30,000 person is also feeling salary
So
small.
3 lakhs.
The 3 lakh kid who's just been earning anything, like when you were studying, you didn't have 3 lakh. Now, what's your problem? But yeah, like you said, once you 30,000, you stop going by public transport.
Yes.
You start probably get a two-wheeler, or you start going by cabs and auto. Is there, it starts the
It's
problem.
your lifestyle expansion. I mean, in the sense, like say
But is it
inflation. It is not wrong. So basically, that is where I think the most important part comes, right? Like say you have to have a budget, basically. So being aware of where do you stand becomes very critical, right? Otherwise, if you are unaware, you don't know where you are going. So there is no, I mean, it is not that you should not be doing, but be mindful. I think being mindful is very important. So how do you become mindful? You need to be aware, right? How much you are earning, how much your what is your discretionary, non-discretionary, right? Non-discretionary you cannot avoid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Discretionary is something that you can avoid. So, for example, even though I'm not a big fan of what you call the thumb rules, but I think here you can follow that 50, 30, 20 basically. So 50 could be your what you call needs, and 30 could be your wants, and 20 could be your savings basically, or investing. So that person.
Fortunately, for the first few years when the children are earning in India, they still live with parents. So when there is no need, they are not paying rent. They still use all the resources of the home. So where is even the need? Not everyone. Many children, they also travel. They live in a different city. For them, it is there. But if they are worse, staying and living with their own family, they don't have that many needs. So it may not be even 50%. It might be only, there is no, everything basic is covered. You have a shelter, you have food, is still covered by your family.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. You're right. You're right. But what happens is, like, say, it is a subjective thought, basically, where you are considering your situation or your family situation.
Correct. There are children who travel to go to a different city.
Correct.
Then the rent happens and all
Yeah.
these things happen.
And there could be, like, say, what you call students who owe money to somebody else also.
Yes.
So it is basically of course, it is as I keep telling that personal finance is more about the person than about finance.
Can you explain that? That's interesting. Why are you saying personal finance is person? Because
Personal, basically, what I say. The reason is because uh, see, any financial decision, according to me, has two components. One is the emotional component. The other one is the economic component. More often than not, you override economics with emotions. All right, that becomes most of the times, like say, a subjective decision versus an objective decision, basically. Right. So that, and also, like say, for example, like there's one quote of Noel Whittaker is a very famous financial planner based out of New Zealand.
okay.
So his quote is like say, becoming wealthy is not about how much you are, or like say what you do, or for that matter, who your parents are.
Oh, okay.
It's all about how you manage your money, basically. Okay, so that dissipates that whatever, like say. In fact, my quote is that the financial planning and discipline is what actually, like say, leads to financial freedom, basically. But coming back to your question, like why personal finance is more personal than finance, basically. A lot of, like say, for example, that emotional part or emotional quotient plays a role in your decision making, basically. Right. I think that is where you can probably, like say, for example, whether you want to be frugal, whether you want to be miserly, whether you want to be like what you call a spendthrift, basically. It's all a quality, basic, which is as a person. And coming back to the, like say, management of finances, it is not rocket science, basically. Right. And everybody
Yes, so
yeah, it feels
it's like rocket science because at end of the month when we are looking and trying to scramble some money from somewhere, it looks like a rocket science.
yeah. So if you don't have a hold on it,
Why do these children have faced that problem?
so I think, see, that is again this now, as I told you earlier
The
about that,
lifestyle.
yeah, the lifestyle, and also like say, see, I mean, if you are able to do that budgeting part, right?
Budgeting.
Yeah, the cash flows part,
So you're
right?
saying the children, if they're earning, let's say for easier calculation, a lakh is what they're earning. What should they do? How should they plan?
So see, what is important, they should know what is their, like, again, like say, whether they're living with their parents or they're not living with their parents.
Still, let's say
Irrespective.
50% is a need.
Yeah.
50,000 they need for basic. Whether they're living for what or they're giving something to the contributing to the family. So 50%, 50,000 is gone for the need.
Correct.
Now what should they do?
See, it's also, this is where, like say, for example, where you want to invest, right? Like say, whether you want to upskill, all right, or like say, that is where goal-based investing or purpose-driven investing will come into picture, basically.
Okay.
So what are your future goals, basically? What is that you want to do? All right, that becomes very critical. Say, for example, if you're dependent on your parents, like say, so then it is a different story, basically. You might not have to, like say, get into the contingency planning part of it. When I say contingency planning part of it, I mean, if you have a dependent, financial dependent, basically, you will have to have you will have to have the contingency fund, basically, or you will have to take care of the risk management through, like say, whether it could be health insurance, whether it could be life cover, or it could be critical illness cover. So that will come into picture when you have financial dependence on you, basically. Or even otherwise, like say, for example, if you are more than 20, I mean, if you are not covered under health insurance with your parents, or like say,
In the company.
I would say that is independent of that, you should have a cover.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, youngsters, though they will have a insurance covered by the company,
Yeah.
you're saying they should still look at this one?
Yes, they should definitely have. I think that is something that is inevitable, I would say. Because, like, say, for example, as you grow older, you will not be insurable, point number one. And also, like, you never know when you will require insurance. It could be in between the jobs, right? And that is very, very important. So, for example, if your company, which is actually providing you insurance, group insurance, if that actually, let's say, is able to help you port, in the sense, like, say, for example, when you leave the company, it is able to give you an individual policy. In that case, it makes sense that you don't take a separate policy. But otherwise, it is very, very critical that you should have a what you call standalone health cover for yourself, basically.
What kind of health cover should they look at when they are in the early 20s?
So basically, see, what happens is like anybody, like even if he goes for an hospital for a week or so, I think easily if you're in a metro, like this 5 lakh bill is easy. Okay, and healthcare cost is going up very drastically.
Yes.
The inflation is more than 15%.
in the hospital.
Yeah, inflation is more than 15%. But what happens is, like, say, even if you consider 10%, like what happens is the number, if you have a health cover of 10 lakhs as of now, so the required amount will actually be, like, say, every 7 years double.
Every 7 years double.
If the inflation is 10%.
Okay, okay.
So which means that if today it is costing you 5 lakhs, after 7 years, the same hospitalization will cost you 10 lakhs
Okay.
after 7 years.
Okay.
So it is important that you should have a, like, what you call cover, which is, we usually recommend at least, like, say, a base policy of 25 lakhs and then a top up around 50 to 75 lakhs basically, because the top up policies are quite cheap basically. And also, like, say, for example, if your company is giving you, like, say, let us assume 5 lakhs of insurance. So you can also take a top up of, like say 45 lakhs or, like, say, 45 lakhs or 95 lakhs basically. So that is also cheaper. Basically, top ups are very cheap. So that way you can actually have a very good cover for the rest of your life. Basically.
It's very interesting because that is the age they don't even think about health. This is very, very important that you brought this point because at 23, 24, fresh out of college in first 2 years, they are full of blood and full of youthfulness. They don't think health matters. And you are saying after their need, the first thing they have to look at is the health cover. Interesting. Yeah. What next?
So see, I think what we have to understand is, like, say, people, like, what I have seen, like, first half of their life, it is so fast paced now, and they actually earn wealth at the cost of health. And the second half of their life, it is vice versa. All spend all their wealth on the health.
Okay.
So I think that is where it is important to be cognizant of the vulnerabilities. I think in this, so it's important that we be more mindful. And also, Lisa, I think today's, generation is actually, let's say, much better than what we were.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're very
Oh, but
focused. All they need is a little bit of navigation and guidance, and they are in the right way. They know even the physical health and everything. They are fast to observe and also execute.
correct, true.
Okay, okay.
Correct.
Yeah, but another thing is like I think it would be great to hear the impact of compounding and why saving early because after health, I'm sure your next portion is all about saving.
Yeah.
So, why save at that young age when they have parents to support, when they have a long career? Why can't they spend their money in travel, experiences, and so much more?
Yeah, I think that's a common question, I say. I think, see, in case of wealth creation, there are three variables. Okay. The first variable is actually, I say, your investable surplus, whatever you have left after everything. That's your investable surplus.
Investable surplus. Okay.
Correct, right? So the second variable is, of course, the number of compounding periods until the goal. Say, for example, when I'm talking about for whatever you are saving or investing, let us assume that you are saving for your probably buying a car, but you are home, whatever. Okay, so if it's
My question is coming. Should I buy first home or car?
yeah, yes, after that. Okay, so then it is the number of investment horizon. Okay, what is the investment horizon you have for which you are saving or investing? Which means let us assume 10 years. And let us assume that your money is compounding every year. Okay, for sake of simplicity, which means that you have 10 periods of compounding. Okay, and then, like, say, you have the at what rate it is compounding.
Okay.
So these are the three variables which define how much wealth you're going to make.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the only thing is, like, say, for example, the rate of return, it cannot vary much.
Oh, it cannot?
Yeah, it is something. It cannot vary much basically. So, for example, if I'm taking the index return of 12%, let us assume. Okay, so then it will be in a range mode, I would say.
Okay.
Right, it could be 12 or 15. Let us assume that. Investable surplus, you know your salary.
Yeah.
You know your expenses.
That's the standard.
That is also, like, so much more defined.
Fixed,
right?
yeah.
It's a range. It's not even a range. The returns could be a range, but your surplus will not be a range. It will be
fixed. Almost fixed. Yes.
almost
Yes.
fixed, right?
We prefer also fixed because you can spend the rest on something else. Yeah. Okay.
So the only other variable is the number of compounding periods.
Yeah.
Okay, so the more you have, the better it is.
Okay. So that's why start early.
That's why start early, basically.
Okay.
So as Albert Einstein told, like, basically that he said that compounding is the eighth wonder.
Compounding is the eighth wonder.
The one who understands it earns it. The one who don't understand, he pays it.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So, for example, if a young earner is investing 10,000 rupees every month, somehow they figure out this is their surplus. If they're starting at 23, what will happen? If they're starting at, say, 2 years, let me enjoy no saving, I'll start at 25. 2 to 5 years, let's say the difference. What would be the outcome difference?
I'll put it this way. Say, basically, say, for example, let us assume that your money is compounding at 15%, right? And if it is like, say, if that 15 rule, so if you're actually investing 15,000 rupees and it is growing at 15%,
Percent.
and if you have done so for 15 years, so then you have 1 crore
You have 1 crore in
at the end of 15 years.
15 years, you have 1 crore at 15,000.
Yeah, if 15,000 basically.
Okay.
So that gets delayed basically. Okay, so that is the only thing. Basically, what happens is like say, see nowadays everybody wants to like achieve that fire basically, which is retire early, right? Financial independence and retire early. So in that case, is that the longer you delay, I mean, of course, like say the lesser the corpus will be.
Mhm.
It is as simple as that.
How much do you think a 25-year-old today should plan for their retirement? You said 15 years, 1 crore. Do you think 15 years later this 1 crore will be sufficient? And what should be their goal?
See, I think when it comes to, I mean, retirement corpus, usually like say, they say 25 times your annual salary. It could be on 30 times your in Indian situation. Can probably take, if you are taking 30 times your annual salary. Suppose, like say, for example, if you're earning 12 lakhs per annum, which means that if it's 30 times your annual salary, and that will be like say 3.6 crores. Okay, so that will last you for 30 years.
From the retirement.
No, yeah, from the retirement basically.
Okay. The
So that is the
fixed.
same corpus. Like so now the corpus is now ready basically, which means 3.6 crore will last you for 30 years basically. If you are withdrawing 4%.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, okay. So 15,000, this 15, 15, 15 is a very interesting thing for any beginner to start somewhere. Even if they're earning 50,000, this 15,000, if they can somehow
Yeah.
arrange and put it away for 15 years at 15%. But they also get into something called as spikes, no? Investing into these coins. This is what
Crypto.
yeah, crypto. Big time. This is the youngsters in the last 10 years, and now it is kind of declining. What is your views on that?
I think, see, one thing is you can make your mistakes and learn, or you can learn from others' mistakes.
Okay.
If somebody is wise, they will learn from others' mistakes. Otherwise, they will have to make their own mistakes and learn over a period of time.
Okay.
Having said that, I think if you want to be a what you call trader, and also like make money out of it, and it is nothing wrong. But you have to be a full-time professional there.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, if you look at the SEBI survey data or research data, also basically, I think not even like say 1% of the like say what you call people who are trading make money consistently, basically.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is like so this like will of course give you a lot of high or adrenaline when you do that options trading, or like say for example when you're looking at this bitcoins, etc. And that is also very seasonal. If you look at, I think, I mean, if you look at, I think after the tightening of like what you call liquid, I mean, SEBI did so much of changes basically. I mean, now people are not able to trade so much as they used to trade earlier basically. Now I think that hype is much lesser. If you look at the trading volumes in most of the like brokerages, it has come down basically. So I think so. Coming back to the question that you asked, like how about like say doing this trading or like
Yeah,
say
because 15 looks very conservative. It's very less at that age. It looks like, oh, for 15%, I have to put so much. Why don't I save 1 lakh rupees, invest in some currency or invest in some other
Correct.
metals and things like that also are in discussion. So when
15
these
is yeah. So if you 15 is very high, I would say. So 15. I mean, if you look at the index returns, it may be around like say 12. And if you take the taxation, I mean, historically, like you can probably expect, I think 12 is a fair number in terms of expectation of returns. But coming back to the question, like, I think, your question, like, say, why you should compromise, or like, say, so there is something called as reinvestment risk.
Okay.
Say, for example, you made this, I think we were discussing one example where you wanted to buy 1 kg silver, right? Like, say,
Yes. Today from 125, it's zoomed up to today's 425. As we speak today, we are shooting this. It's at 425 today.
correct.
So probably the youngsters could have, instead of 15,000 investing in that long term for a 1 crore, what if this young person could have invested this 15,000? They could have bought at 125 at that time, and probably their return is much more, no?
Correct. So I think there are two things. Like, so one is luck, one is skill.
Okay.
Okay. So say, for example, when you're doing this, basically, like, it is more of a, like, what you call once you might buy and sell it, basically, the next time after you buy, you might actually end up the silver might come down. Like, for example, the weight has gone up, like, say, from 1 lakh to like, say, this 4 lakh.
Yes.
It will also go in the same at the same pace, or much more pace, basically, because silver is a very volatile metal, basically. So you will get stuck. Say, for example, you will for one time buy and sell. The next time you buy, right, you will actually be caught on the wrong side. Okay. So then you will have to keep holding that.
Yeah.
Okay. That is what will happen. Otherwise, like, say, for example, let us assume that you actually bought and sold, and actually, I mean, made that money. Okay. And you are waiting for an opportunity to buy again and keep that money in the SB account.
Right.
Okay. And the opportunity will never come.
Because it keeps.
Yeah, it is not that it is not a defined path, right? It is going like it will not go the path that you desire.
It's a gamble.
It's not. I would say, like, say, for example, yeah, for example, I mean, there are technicals and there are fundamentals. In silver, I mean, the demand for silver is, see, silver is basically a metal which has hybrid qualities, both as a, like, metal of value, like gold, and also, like, say, metal of
Industry and also as a precious metal.
yeah, sorry, precious metal and industry, basically.
Yes.
So that is something, and I mean, the reason that it is going up is due to multiple things, basically. One is, of course, the industrial demand that is fueling, and the second one is, of course, I mean,
For geopolitical reasons.
yeah, that is there, and also there is a ratio between gold and silver, which is usually like around 50 to 1 is to 50 to 1 is to 90, 60. It will say 1 is to 62, 1 is to 50.
Okay.
Okay, so what I mean by that is, let's say, I mean, the 1 gram of, I mean, the cost of 1 gram of gold will be equivalent to, like, 50 grams of silver, basically. So that is the ratio. It also follows that ratio.
Was this consistent all through the years?
It will not be, but there is a positive correlation.
Okay.
There is a positive correlation, which means that, I mean, if gold goes up, silver also will go up, and vice versa.
Okay.
So the correlations might be sometimes mild, sometimes moderate, sometimes, like, say, it will be high also.
Okay.
So, but again, it is a positive correlation, which means that if gold goes up, silver also is probably go up.
Okay. So coming back again for representing a young person, what are the different tools they can invest at this point of time, now that they have started enjoying this financial income?
Yeah, I think, see, one thing is to learn more, like, I mean, because that is when it also helps you to, like, I mean, understand finance well. So in that case, I think they can also, like, say, look at investing in stocks, basically, but as a long-term investment, trying to understand the fundamentals, trying to see why, I mean, of course, you cannot time the market. What I'm trying to say is, like, say, for example, since, I mean, they want to, what you call, get some kind of what you call kick out of it, basically, to do
Opening a demat account is like
Yeah.
a child's play.
Yes.
And there are a lot of advisors available free of cost. Like you mentioned, YouTube University, WhatsApp University, and so many things are there. Should they play around a small amount with these things?
Yeah.
Maybe just 5,000 or 1,000 rupees, buy one stock of some good banks or good industries where they can do some homework. Is it advisable for them to get in that early?
Yeah, no. If I say no, also, they will eventually do it.
Uh-huh.
I think it is better do it, and then over a period of, I mean, gaining wisdom.
So, how should they monitor their finance when they invest?
See, I think if you are actually, I say, what you call an young earner, basically, I would probably like start with a mutual fund, like, or an index fund, basically. So that will, I mean, it is basically the passive. I mean, in the sense, like, say, you need not spend much of the time monitoring the portfolios, etc.
So SIP.
Yeah, SIP is a mode, basically. I mean, if you're investing on a monthly basis, of course, like, say, systematic investment works, basically. It is more to inculcate the discipline. But you can do a SIP or you can do a lump sum. I think, I mean, what I'm trying to tell you is, like, say, I think going with an index fund kind of helps them to, like, what you call, not spend too much of time, I mean, tracking the markets or monitoring the portfolios, so that they can focus more on, like, themselves. Like, say, for example, the skills they want to, like, upgrade, and also, like, say, on, like, say, for example, if you are actually, like, what you call, uh, uh, I mean, looking at the market and investing, I would say you can make 10-12%. But if you're working on your skill, you can probably get 30% hike.
Hike on the salary. So focus more on your career and skill, and then see, today we are fortunate to have you in this conversation. But if a youngster needs to have a proper advice, today they go only to their parents. Sometimes yes, sometimes it works. But then how do they find a advisor, and how do they get a guidance, a professional guidance? And what does an advisor do, like you, for a young earner?
I think I would say there are so many platforms available. I think, unlike the earlier days, I mean, if you look at, I think, the challenge in terms of, I mean, client centric advice. And for example, if you look at us, we only work with HNIs specifically.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So what happens is, like, say, there will be a, like, what you call, minimum requirement,
You to
manage.
work with it.
Yeah. So I think it is but I would say that, I mean, they would not require an advisor in the initial phases, I would say, basically, because they will discover things. As of now, I think there is.
Okay, so if you take this as a platform, since you don't with young earners, you work only with HNIs, very soon these people will be HNIs and probably come to you. But then, at least to reach there, what are the top 5 things they should do? If this is a platform to tell a bunch of college students who are just started working, what are the things they should
I
do?
think what works is consistency, basically. I think, I mean, consistently, I mean, investing and automating that, I mean, through a SIP. SIP is basically one kind of a tool which can actually automate your savings on investments. I think that is what, and also have a certain asset allocation in place, basically.
What?
So it could be, I mean, of course, equities. I mean, you need to diversify because, I mean, the reason that I'm telling you, I mean, you need to diversify is because not all asset classes perform all the time. Typically, I think if you look at, ask me, what are the kind of asset classes that, I mean, you can take exposure to. One could be equities,
Okay.
fixed income, of course, that is where you lend your money, basically. And the third one, of course, is commodities, and the fourth is real estate.
Fourth is real estate.
Of course, I would say.
They
Yeah, so I'll come to that, basically, but I think it might not be relevant to the younger earners.
younger audience.
Yeah, but
So for younger audience, the option is this post office is also, that is all FD and RD and things like that. So that you consider it as a fixed income, is it?
yeah, so even before that, I would like to clarify that, I mean, in terms of, like, say, commodities and real estate, I mean, you should be able to differentiate between a lifestyle asset and a investment asset.
Lifestyle asset and
An investment asset.
okay.
Say, for example, like, just like jewelry, like, jewelry is a lifestyle asset. I mean, a lifestyle asset definition could be like, it is a goal in itself, right? You don't intend to, like, probably sell the jewelry and fund your kids' education.
Yeah, it's the emotion. We connect emotion to
Correct.
every piece of jewelry. So that is a lifestyle asset.
Yeah. So it is a goal in itself, basically. That would be the definition of a lifestyle asset. So what I mean to say is the apartment that you're going to buy is not going to be an investment asset, basically, is what coming back to the. And I say real estate, it could be REITs, it could be INVITs, basically, which can give exposure to real estate as an asset class.
Okay.
Okay. So that is where I just wanted to clarify on the previous thing when you said, I mean, real estate, basically. So there are the four asset classes. Typically, you can diversify your money.
Okay.
The reason because is basically they have different life cycles, and one more important thing is also, like, they have certain degree of correlations within them.
Between these asset classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that also helps you to reduce the edgier portfolios and reduce the downside of your portfolios, basically.
Okay.
So, but coming back to the young earners, basically, they can even start with a equity and a hybrid fund.
Okay.
Could be something that they could start with, basically. And over a period of time, as their income grows, basically, they can diversify into other asset classes.
Okay.
So that is how it helps them to build a portfolio over a period of time.
What would you tell for people who just keep their salaries in the SB account itself and they don't do much about it?
Yeah, I think, people can be happy or content
Seeing the balance.
seeing the balance also. And somebody who's actually invested and making money and might be even unhappy. So I think it is a peace of mind at the end of the day. But having said that, I think it is important for us to understand that you'll have to generate inflation-adjusted returns, basically, so that you are able to meet your future self expenses, basically, of your future. So wealth creation means that you are able to generate inflation-adjusted returns, basically. So that is when wealth creation happens. So also, say one more point I would like to add is when it is wealth creation. Obviously, there is going to be a non-linearity of returns. Basically, it's not going to be if you draw a graph, it's not going to be a linear graph. Basically,
They should be mentally prepared for it.
yeah. So that if you're able to accept that non-linearity or volatility or risk, right? So that is when I think you're able to be consistent as well. And if you're able to understand the non-linearity, you'll also able to get the conviction, right, to stay invested for a long period of time.
Consistency matters. There is also another pattern that I have understood is like they put it in FD and they are very happy with that also. Either swipe in facility is this or they say, no, I have put it in FD. Is that an intelligent move?
So I think see, again depends upon say what is that you want to achieve at the end of the day, right? Maybe if you're able to, we're happy with this that 5%, 6%, and then pay
Obviously,
taxes.
they wouldn't be.
So then you have to say take some risk.
Take some risk.
Yeah. So you cannot have both, right? You cannot.
So again, portfolio division happens. Safe thing, then put it in FD, which will give you 6%, 7%. But if you want an aggressive 15% or 12% or whatever, then they need to diversify.
Correct. If you diversify, the returns are not going to be 12%, it may be much lesser.
Much lesser.
Because say you will be putting in fixed income also in other areas as well.
Right.
Okay. So but the thing is say at the end of it, whether you want to accomplish your goal or you want to look at the returns and keep
I like the way every time when I'm talking, you're saying goal.
Yeah.
So why am I saving money? That needs to be clear in this person's head.
So see, what happens is say that when you do the cash flow planning, right, that sets the right expectations. All right. So what the whole idea of when you set the right expectations, so you know what to expect, and then what will have you will have peace of mind and you will sleep well at night.
Yes.
All right. Otherwise, you will never be happy. Even if you get 18%, 20%, 40%, you'll never be happy and you'll be looking at something else. Okay, so I missed that bus. So that is always going to be there. So once
Philosophy now.
I would not say it is spiritual.
It is not, but at least philosophy for sure.
No, see, basically what happens is say that, see, at the end of it, of course, say if all your goals are met, then the only goal is wealth creation goal, which means that I will only look at the rate of return.
Correct.
But even then the purpose becomes very thing.
So basically for a young audience who's making money, they might want to have a good luxury car, a great home, travel big, international. These are there at this point of time. This is what they see. Live a good life.
Correct.
So you're saying put a budget. Tell in next year if you want to go for a travel international trip, if you wanted some 15 lakhs, then start saving. Is that what you're...
See, of course, say I think setting up goals is very important, and budgets, cash flow planning is also very important. The third thing is say I think planning or cash flow planning or financial planning is all about balance between your instant gratification and deferred gratification.
Okay.
Right? It is not. Of course, say there is a certain today. There is an uncertain tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? How do you balance between the both? You have to have a balance. If you are a logical, rational thinking person.
So it's an emergency fund you're talking about.
It could be the emergency fund. It could be, see, whatever you are saving to spend tomorrow.
Correct. Yes.
Something you are spending today, something you are spending tomorrow.
Correct.
To be able to spend tomorrow, because there is inflation associated, you have to generate inflation adjusted returns, which means you have to create wealth. So if you are not thinking of for tomorrow, all right, then you can spend everything today.
Which is not the case.
Yeah. So then that is not philosophical.
Okay. Okay.
So that at the end of the day, it is all about that balance that you need to require. That is where you will actually. I mean, I think. See, if you have peace of mind, I think there is nothing like it.
But for them, the peace of mind is after achieving that travel or that car and after buying that home is where they are.
Initially, I mean, we have been through that phase ourselves.
Yes. And hence, I think we are in a place to tell them at least. We can tell them at least do this.
Yes.
So the key is one is uh, knowing what they're earning and what their goals are, and then planning, and then dividing that into portfolio of fixed income, safe income, and higher risks, right?
Correct. So, for example, see what happens is like say when you want to make a portfolio, so it is always a combination of mini portfolios.
Combination of mini portfolios, okay?
Okay. Say for example, like you want to buy a car, all right, and you want to do a travel, or you want to buy a house, whatever it could be. So that time horizons could be different. So, for example, if you have a car goal in the next 2 years or very short term goal, so it is going to be mostly you have to put it in fixed income.
Okay.
You cannot put in equities basically.
Okay.
All right. And so the probability of loss will be very high. Or liquidities are a long term asset class basically. You cannot put it in short term. So that is where also like say when I say silver is also a long term asset class. You cannot actually like say get into trading of.
Correct.
Okay, so now if you have a goal which is like say 5 years, 6 years away, 7 years away, let us assume that you have a 7 years away goal where you want to buy a home. For that, you might take some equity exposure.
Because it's long term.
Yeah. So that also like will have other asset classes apart from equity also. But as the goal goes further, basically, so you will have much like what you call growth or like aggressive portfolios where the equity heavy portfolios will be there. So ultimately, your one final portfolio will be a weighted average all your like mini portfolios basically. So that is where like you cannot put everything in one asset class or one product base.
How about this trend of buy a car or a two-wheeler on EMIs? All you have to do is save for the down payment, but maybe we can see EMIs will pay.
Yeah, I think see initially like you should be using the credit very wisely. So when you're starting, because we are talking about young earners,
Yes.
right? So because when you are looking at the credit score, right? The reason that I mean you should be using credit card is only to like the initially you should be only to like um, make your credit score look good.
Oh, so you have to spend on credit cards?
You can spend on credit card. You can spend on credit card like a debit card, which means that you should have that money to which you are spending. All right, but you can get the reward points basically. You can also build your credit score basically.
Okay.
And also, like say, it is advisable not to like if you have a credit limit of like 1 lakh. Okay, so you should actually be utilizing less than 30%. That is called as credit utilization rate. Okay, if you are using more, your credit score will come down. Basically, that credit card company will think, okay, this guy is using for my credit for all his expenses. So suppose he loses his job, he will not pay my money. So he will reduce my credit score.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is important that you should use that credit card, credit diligently, so that you are able to build your credit score basically.
Okay.
Because that is one thing. So, so of course, I say you cannot be mindlessly spending basically. Right. So
Basically, the one rule is see if you have the money in your account, then only use your credit card.
yes.
And also in any card, even if you have one card or two card, whatever is the limit, spend only 30%
Yes.
every month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use that. I mean, keep below 30%. The credit card company also will be happy.
Very
Of course, your finances will be also.
Very interesting information. Okay. So we spoke about the credit cards, how sensible we have to use, and that was a very useful information. But right now, people have the desire, the young people, obviously for convenience, they need a bike or a car, depending on the thing. Or so what happens? And they also travel taking loans and EMIs and pay EMIs. Uh, how should they handle these things? And what should they see this as a financial impact?
I think, see, one thing is where we spoke about instant gratification versus deferred gratification. So that actually I think should define, how much you should spend today and how much you should save for tomorrow. Having said that, I think if you're, going overboard, ultimately you will not be able to probably you will end up in debts basically.
Like you said, this 30% kind of a thing. So probably they have a desire to buy a 2 lakh vehicle, probably a version of Enfield Bullet or something. But how should they calculate and say that, okay, this is my budget, I should buy a vehicle in this? Is there any thumb rule or a formula where they should know that at this salary, at this EMI or whatever it is, this is the thing? Is there anything that a quick reference?
Some rule, I think, as I told you, like 50, 30, 20 would be a good
No,
reference.
this is for buying this instant gratification, like doing a down payment and taking a bike on an EMI.
So how much you should actually make the down payment? Is that the question?
Yeah, how much EMI should they really? Is there a percentage that this will be safe for them?
See, I think it should definitely not go beyond the 30% of your salary, basically any total EMIs basically.
Total EMI should never go beyond 30%.
I think that is what prudent would be. Of course, let's say I think many times you end up paying, taking more EMIs and at the cost of like your future investments basically. So I think that will again compromise your other goals. So it is all about prioritizing of the goals comes here basically.
Okay.
So if you have the the future cash flows, if you're saving something for your retirement, you're saving something for your home, and you want to buy a car also. So then, if you look at your salary, you will know how much you can afford per month, basically, towards each of the goals, and whether something is possible or also not possible. Also, you'll come to know.
You'll come to know. So it's better to accept your clear.
So either you work on increasing your salary, that is increasing on your investable surplus, or say you have to compromise on your goals. I think those are the two things that you can do. So that is where prioritization of goals becomes very critical. So you know what can be achieved within the income that you have, and what cannot be achieved is something that
mental clarity is very important instead of falling it for a peer. The fear of missing out, and also somebody else is having it. If they can afford and do that, every story is different. Like I said, personal finance is so personal, and just because the same salary another person may be afford, because there are no commitments and this person might have commitments.
correct.
So this was a very interesting segment. Thank you so much. In the next segment, a very, very, very interesting topic that we're going to discuss is about the working family. Today, both the husband and the wife, they're working, the lifestyle choices, children, and how do they handle this when they get from the young earner to the married thing. Let's talk those points in those discussion.
Yeah, in that case, what happens is, let's say from one income, it might be two incomes, basically.
Yes, and all the more the complications, the commitments increases while the income also.
Correct.
So see you in the segment 2, where we'll talk about the lifestyle choices, EMIs, credit cards for the working family.
Sure.
Thank you so much.